Welcome to Build Better Teams, the podcast for leaders who want to improve collaboration, strengthen communication, and create real alignment inside their teams. Here we explore team building strategies, leadership development, and hands-on approaches like Lego Serious Play that help teams think, build, and solve problems together. Let's get started so you can lead more effective, aligned, and engaged organizations. Welcome back to the Build Better Teams podcast. I am your host, strategic leadership and team building facilitator, Shannon Russell. Did you know that play isn't childish? It's actually a leadership strategy. So I ask you, when was the last time you played at work? Not checking something off your to-do list, not answering emails, not sitting through another meeting. I mean, genuinely played. For many of us, it's been years since we've played in general, let alone playing at the office. Somewhere along the way, in growing up, we decided that play belonged only in childhood. We were taught that serious work required serious people, and that if we wanted to be respected as leaders, we needed to leave play at the door. Does this sound familiar? But I challenge you, because what if we've been getting that completely backwards? What if play isn't the opposite of productivity? What if it's one of the fastest ways for us to unlock it? Think about a child in your life for a moment. You give them a box of Lego bricks, and they'll spend an hour building a city, a spaceship, a creature. They are experimenting, they're testing, they're failing, and they're trying again. They're not worried about looking silly. They are just curious. Now, compare that kind of play to a room full of adults at work. You ask for new ideas, and what do you get? Most of the time, you probably get silence because people are worried about saying the wrong thing, they don't want to look foolish, or they don't want to be judged. So somewhere between childhood and adulthood, we traded that curiosity for certainty. And organizations are paying the price. I'm here to tell you that play is how we learn. And what's fascinating is that children don't play because they are avoiding learning. They're playing because that's how they learn. They develop those communication skills. They problem solve. They figure out their creativity, and they learn how to collaborate when they play with each other. Those happen to be the same skills that organizations need the most, especially in a world where AI can automate every task. We need to put the emphasis on human skills because that's going to be our competitive advantage. Now, before you picture leaders in a room running around the office with water balloons or throwing toys at the wall, that's not what I'm talking about. Play isn't about being unprofessional. It's about creating experiences that invite that curiosity, that encourage a little bit of experimentation, that make it safe to explore new ideas in new ways. This is exactly why I use the Lego Serious Play method when I work with organizations and teams. Because when people build instead of simply talking, there's a shift in the atmosphere. Something changes. And that's because everyone participates, not just the loudest person in the room. Everyone gets the bricks, everyone builds, and everyone explains what they made. People aren't just explaining an idea that other people can't understand. They're actually building their idea out of bricks, and they're sharing them in a 3D model. Then others can begin to ask questions instead of defending their opinions. This becomes more of a conversation that's collaborative instead of competitive. Think about how this method of quote unquote play can benefit you and your team. Now, I've worked with organizations, big and small, all over. And one of the biggest challenges that leaders tell me that they're facing is getting people on their teams to speak up, to engage with each other. And that's because employees are hesitant. So if it seems like your team is having trouble speaking up or sharing or working together, it may be that they feel their ideas aren't good enough, or they fear what other people will think if they do speak up, or that they might disagree with you as their leader or manager. Play changes that. When you can incorporate a little bit of creativity and a new way of thinking, then everyone builds. There's not one right answer. Everyone's perspective has value. And then suddenly people who rarely contribute become some of the most insightful voices in the room for the first time. I've seen it happen over and over again. One of my favorite moments during a workshop is when someone points to someone else's Lego model and says, "I've never thought about it that way before." That act of building an idea helped others discover what you were thinking. And it could be in a way that maybe you could never have articulated before. When you can show someone visually what you're thinking, it really adds to the conversation because it's not just dialogue alone. And there's science behind this because our hands actually access different parts of our brain that allow us to think a little bit differently and create that ingenuity so that we can come up with new ideas. So sometimes we literally have to build ideas that we couldn't have talked about. That's why I often say, stop talking and start building. And the Lego series play method does just this. It's a technique that really uses that connection between your hands and your brains to unlock hidden knowledge and help you solve problems differently. It's proven, it's been around for decades, and it really does help. When I'm hired to go and work with a new organization, I always love the fact that I see teams playing together. And when they start playing together, instantly barriers come down. People laugh, they view each other differently, and they're learning about each other differently. And it's all because they become more curious about each other, about these different ideas that the group is coming up with. And they stop thinking in terms of job titles and hierarchy. Instead, they're just beginning to connect as people. And I've done workshops where we're strategically planning how we're going to reach goals over the next year. And then I've done workshops where it's literally just, let's have some fun, let's team build, let's bond, and let's come together in that way. I've actually also done events where it's kind of a light-hearted networking type of event where you're getting to know people in different departments and we're trying to just bridge that gap and let people know each other. And in doing so, you're growing the company as a whole. It's because trust is growing and you're getting to connect with people in a new way. That's why I think creative team building experiences, Lego Serious Play, or other ones are really just so much more effective than simply bringing everyone into a conference room. So that's why I'm here saying that play is a leadership strategy. So for you, the leader that I am talking to right now, here's what I believe. I believe that AI will continue making information easier for us to access, but imagination, that's on us. That's on you as the leader to pull imagination and creativity and empathy and human connection out of your team. Because those skills are way more valuable than artificial intelligence. Leaders who thrive won't necessarily be the ones who have all the answers, but you'll be the ones who can create environments where great ideas are shared through play, through creativity, through getting to know each other in different ways. And that all starts by you giving people permission to play. Now, I often like to wrap up our episodes by giving you a challenge. And my challenge for you on this episode is to find one small way to introduce play into your leadership this week. Ask your team to sketch an idea instead of describing it. Have them build something. They can use sticky notes. They can use Lego bricks. They can use paper clips. You can run an improv exercise. You can do a painting challenge. Start a meeting with a creative question instead of a status update. Do this because it changes how people will think, because when your people start thinking differently, your organization will innovate differently. All right, if there's one thing I hope you remember from today's episode, it's that play isn't a break from work. Play can be your work because play fuels that creativity and creativity fuels innovation. Innovation then drives your team forward. So find some way to give your team permission to play again. And if an employee says to you, "No, I don't want to play, that is so childish," you can smile and say, "No, it's leadership. It's how we grow." Thank you for listening to the Build Better Teams podcast. And as always, if you have enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. It would really mean a lot to help us grow this podcast and get it in front of other leaders like yourself. And if you're looking for a team building workshop or a strategic planning session that involves play and that gets everyone thinking and communicating and collaborating together in new ways, I'd love to help. You can reach out to me at buildbetterteamsconsulting.com or click the link in the show notes below. Until next time, remember, the future won't belong to the organization that worked the hardest. It will belong to the ones that never stopped imagining what's possible. Have fun, go out and play, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Build Better Teams podcast.